This is ANN News Brief.
I'm Lucy Adeyemi. Tunisia's new tourism minister has warned that the coronavirus pandemic could wipe out the gains made by the sector over the past 60 years. The North African nation has pledged to deploy much-needed financial support to revive the industry, which employs nearly 500,000 persons. Tunisian Ministry of Tourism has unveiled a stimulus plan to help hotels and tourism actors with funds to try to overcome the slowdown caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The ministry says the plan will keep the remaining hotels open and will preserve jobs. The newly sworn-in Minister of Tourism says Tunisia remains a safe destination, which applies strict safety and health protocols in accordance with international standards. Tourism experts have expressed optimism that the North African state could attract more than 9 million visitors next year if the coronavirus crisis ends this year. Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed has appointed a political newcomer to become Prime Minister nearly 2 months after the country's parliament voted out former Prime Minister Hassan Ali Kari. Mohamed Hussein Rabo's appointment came hours after the president and 5 regional leaders reached agreement on a revised election model after days of talks in Mogadishu and international pressure. A statement from the president's office said Rabo was directed to form a new transitional government ahead of general elections in the country. The president signed a historic legislation in February giving ordinary citizens the right to vote in parliament elections. He considered to having the indirect election preferred by regional leaders. The new agreement calls for election preparations to begin November the 1st. Planners will determine date in 2021 for choosing a parliament whose members then will select the president as in 2016. Mohamed, widely known as Famajo, is expected to seek his second 4-year term. His current term ends in February next year. 57-year-old Rabu brings a fresh face to the country's political scene. He is a graduate of Somali National University, where he studied civil engineering. He has posted a short statement on social media that he would work with all Somalis during the transition. We'll be right back.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Angola's President João Lourenço has delivered a speech by video conference to the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly. His speech focused on the country's sustainable development goals. He was the first to speak at the event, where he pledged his country's commitment to achieve the stated objectives in Angola. President Lourenço pointed specifically to the country's struggle to eliminate extreme poverty and to significantly reduce multidimensional poverty levels by 2030. He touched on several programs, including cash transfers, productive inclusion, the generation of work and income, the expansion of infrastructure, and the expansion of social services. The president said a $400 million program of cash transfers started at the end of May in collaboration with the World Bank will run until 2022 and will cover 1.5 million families. Lourenço also touched on the areas of education, health infrastructure, and agriculture. The 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly was officially opened last Tuesday and is scheduled to end in September next year. That is ANN News Brief at 11. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I'm Lucy Adeyemi.